happened yesterday. All right, good morning, traders. Today's September 24th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That would be the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Good morning, Kathy, Sarah Roasted. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody out there. First, I want to thank my paying subscribers. Appreciate that. I don't take that for granted. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following my content. Thank you for subscribing to my content. Thank you for leaving the kind words. And a special shout out to John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, everyone that shares my content, helping to get the good word out there for the rest of the world. Appreciate that. Love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the kind words. Okay, let's take a look at the markets and let's start with the summary. And my SPY pivot this morning is 664.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY, Diamond Dow, IWM, gold, not QQQ, okay? Made a new all-time highs. QQQ made a lower high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. FNGU made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bullish trap under the 17 EMA. SPY closed with a weak 1 candle, 2 hour downtrend and a 10-minute uptrend. SLV made a new 14-year high, that would be silver. USO, higher high, higher low, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross over the 17 EMA. UNG made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend. Closed near the 97.24 area. We like that. It's still in a downtrend. SPY max pain 663 is max pain for SPY options with a put to call ratio of about 1.9 put for each call that expires today at 4:15. Remember, those index options, they expire at 4:15. Security options expire at 4. The main event this week is going to be GDP data release at 8:30 on Thursday. That's going to be tomorrow. If you're looking at this for the first time, these are all in bearish downtrends underneath the 17 EMA. That'd be bearish daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. These should all be bullish uptrends, daily uptrends, okay, over the 17 EMA. If they got a little star next to it, means they're building out a launch pad from which to launch higher. If they got a little star over here, they're building out a platform from which to dip lower. In other words, they would be a bear flag. This would be a bull flag. Bear flag, bull flag. All right, let's take a look at the markets today. Start off with SPY game plan this morning. Hey, good morning, Lenny. All right, green erases red over 667.25. The pivot, 664.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green underneath 662. And I like 2 days till expiration and 9 days till expiration Friday options. This goes for SPY and QQQ on the multiple of 5 with strikes anywhere around $2 to $15 out of the money. I'm not opposed to trading in the money options. Okay, just want to say that you can trade in the money options, but I'm going to say you pay up for those. Okay, you get much better performance. All right, but I like the out of the money options. A lot less risk, not a lot less, but less risk, and I don't get as much performance, but I'm comfortable giving up some performance in order to take on less risk. All right, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like them when they're peeling up, and away from VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. I like them when they're peeling down, and away from VWAP. My favorite trade, all right, in this market, because we still have a bullish market, is a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that resides inside of a 2-hour uptrend, that resides inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. Okay, that's my favorite trade because I got all the bigger time frames supporting my little 10-minute uptrend. That's my favorite trade. Now, yesterday we had a pullback. It's a nice trade for the people that took it short. I'm not a big fan of shorting inside of a bullish market. This counter trend, not the first day. All right, so this was the first day pullback, and of course, I didn't trade much of that. All I did was kind of just went shopping, all right, for calls. So we had a 10-minute downtrend. Let's look at this on the 10-minute chart. Here you can see 10-minute downtrend under VWAP with a broken rubber band, bearish 10-minute rubber band candle. 10-minute downtrend stayed in that almost until the last 3 candle bars right there. You can see that took that from really right about 10:30, and that took you all the way till, well, just about 3:30 right there, and then you had to close out your trade. So nice little 10-minute downtrend yesterday, almost a trend day for the bears right there. And look at, you can see the space between the trap. All right, the trap is the 3 and the 8. Notice the 3, it's underneath the 8. The candles are underneath the 3. All right, and all 3 of those are underneath VWAP. So look at the space opening up between VWAP and the price action right there. Okay, so there's SPY on the 10-minute chart. So we left off. We've got a weak 2-candle 10-minute uptrend we left off with yesterday. All right, so we'll see what happens. We bought some calls at the end of the close for a possible gap up. Looks like we might get that gap up. We'll see what happens, but it's looking good so far. Okay, we still got an hour and a half. They could drag it back down. We'll see what happens. There's SPY on the 10-minute chart. Looking for a 10-minute continuation of the 10-minute uptrend that we left off with yesterday. That's what I'm looking for. We'll see what happens. There's SPY on the 10-minute chart. Again, let's take a look at the 2-hour chart, and we'll look at it on a clean one. And you can see we got a weak. Here's the cross. You got a weak 1-candle 2-hour downtrend right there. Okay, so not quite the uptrend that we like. We got a weak 2-hour downtrend right now. On the daily chart, okay, we put in a new all-time high. So, drop the mic. It doesn't get better than that unless you close at the high. Closing up at the top of quadrant 4, that's bullish and still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet. Okay, that's on the daily chart. Weekly chart, still bullish and in an uptrend on the monthly chart. All right, monthly. All right, still bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, so the only one that's not working out today is 2-hour, and we very well may get a 2-hour uptrend later on in the day. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's take a look at QQQ. All right, here's QQQ. Again, on QQQ, got a weak 2-hour, 1-candle, 2-hour downtrend. You can see it right here. See the 3 underneath the 8. So you got a weak 1-candle, 2-hour downtrend. We don't like that. We prefer the uptrend. That's better. All right, on the 10-minute chart, we left off with a 2-candle uptrend on the 10-minute chart. Not over VWAP, just a 2-candle uptrend. Looking for continuation of that 2-candle uptrend. Looking to see where that continues on to. We'll see what happens with that. So I want to trade a green candle coming out of the gate for the continuation of the 2-candle uptrend that we left off with yesterday. Take a look at QQQ. We got a game plan for QQQ as well. And we got right here. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so pivot. 659.60. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Green erases red entry over 602.90. Red erases green entry underneath 597. All right. Same thing on QQQ. I like 2 days and 9 days till expiration. Friday options. Fridays got more open interest. Multiple of 5 got more open interest. I like them $2 to $15 out of the money. Again, I'm not opposed to trading in the money options. I'm not opposed to trading 0 DTE options. Okay, I'm just saying, like, if you're starting out with a small account, you want a little bit of safety, and proceed with a little bit of safety and kind of just gradually work that thing up so you can get 1% every day. That's our goal, 1% every single day. Okay, again, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. Okay, and I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Same thing in QQQ. I like 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that resides inside a 2-hour uptrend, inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly, inside the monthly. Again, You got all those little time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend. What are the levels? I think your levels are wrong on QQQ. They could be 602.90 right here. That would be green erases red. Pivot 659.60. That one looks right. Which one is wrong? I got it. Okay. Well, thanks for checking me. I appreciate that. Okay. And red erases green underneath. It's 597. Yep. No worries. All right. I got the other thing wrong. I know that. I got to go back and correct that. Where is that thing? Right here. See, I put QQQ in there. And QQQ made a lower high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap. Okay, so let's go look at that right now on the daily chart. And right here. Okay, so QQQ made a lower high, lower low, closed inside the bullish trap, but over the rising 17. Still at the top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. And nothing's broken, so it's still in a daily uptrend. Okay, so let's take a look at FNGU. All right, FNGU got a lower high, lower low, closing under a bullish trap over the rising 17. Again, up at the top of quadrant 4. Don't like that candle, that's for sure. Closing up at the top of quadrant 4. That's still bullish. That's still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken there. Okay, that's FNGU. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow puts in a new all-time high. Doesn't get any better than that. Drop the mic. It's obviously, if it's making a new all-time high, it's probably 100% chance it's in an uptrend. Okay, and bullish. All right, if it's making a new all-time high. IWM, same deal. New all-time high, top of quadrant 4, bullish. And in an uptrend right there. Okay, let's take a look at what do we want to look at next? We did IWM, we did QQQ, we did SPY, we did FNGU. Oh, let's go take a look. Here's gold. All right, here's gold putting in a new all-time high. Yes, that's bullish and in an uptrend. Silver putting in a new 14-year high. Bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, let's take a look at USO. USO neutral, goes up, gives it up. Goes up, gives it up. We like to see it when price moves up and holds the higher ground. Let's see if this thing's going to work. Okay, this is the price action we like. Okay, we like to see price. Always got to be a little bitch. Anyway, all right, so I like it when it moves up and holds the higher ground, okay? This fails to hold the higher ground. Notice it goes up and it gives it up. So we're just neutral, okay? So if it was in the upper third, that'd be bullish. Lower third, that'd be bearish. So in between, we're just neutral. We are on the bullish side of neutrality. If this is the 50-yard line, you can see we're on the bullish side of the 50-yard line, midfield, okay? We're up over that 3-year high anchored VWAP. Just not ready yet to commit to anything, obviously, because they move up and they give it up, okay? So there's USO. UNG, still in a downtrend, okay, down here at the lows. And let's kind of fatten this up, widen this out a little bit. Come on. All right, so down here at the lows, bottom of quadrant, well, I can't see quadrant 1 now. Okay, so here's quadrant 1. That's 4, 3, 2. This is 1 way down here at the bottom. Okay, so at the lower side of quadrant 1, actually all of quadrant 1 would be bearish. But this is near the bottom of quadrant 1, so you know that's bearish. You got a low. You're making lower lows. It's obviously in a downtrend. That is the all-time low right here, whatever this candle is. 1173 is the all-time low so far. Who knows, they'll dig out a lower low today. So downtrend, bearish, and in a downtrend, UNG. Let's take a look at our technicals. T2101, market breadth, losing more and more participation. This is the lowest I've seen it since the April rally. All right, so this is the reversal zone right here where Price action tends to reverse or change. We'll see what happens, but this is the lowest I've seen it ever since the April rally that started. T21.22. All right, so this is the market breadth. This is all the participation in that uptrend that started back in April. T21.22. You can see price action moves up, can't hold the higher ground. Not liking that. Then a series of lower highs and lower lows, meandering its way back to the midpoint right here. Noticing kind of waffling back and forth between the buyer's chop zone and the seller's chop zone. Okay, so we couldn't hold the sell zone, obviously couldn't hold the overbought or the buy zone. So we find ourselves right back here in the buyer between the two chop zones right here. All right, so got a lower low, did make a higher high right here, but not enough because we couldn't hold it up there. Would have really liked to see price hold up there, just couldn't take care of business today. Kind of weird since, well, that would be IWM. Of course, it did put in a red candle. If we go back to IWM, it went up, made a brand new all-time high, and then melted off. So that's kind of what happened right here on T21.22. Same thing should probably be the same on T21.23. That a new all-time high? Yeah, new all-time high on T21.23 yesterday. Again, we rip up and then we melt off all day. That's all we did. We ripped up, melted off all day. We're still up over the 200 SMA. Okay, just barely right here. That's bullish. We're still holding the higher ground. We're still making new all-time highs. So this is bullish. All right, but the 15-minute is in a downtrend because here's a low and we made a lower low. All right, 15-minute is in a downtrend. On the 3-bar chart, okay, we are still bullish. Notice we are consolidating up here, holding the higher ground. That's what we like. Top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. It's the same product. All right, up over the 200 SMA, that's bullish. All right, holding the higher ground, that's bullish. Top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. Okay, and we're 3-bar chart is in an uptrend. Okay, on the 15-minute, we weren't because we got a low right here below the 17. I don't know if we can count that, but it's kind of like a 3-candle valley, I guess you can. So there's a 15-minute downtrend, and right here, I would have really counted that, but 15-minute downtrend because we made, here's a low, we made a lower low. All right, notice on the 3-bar chart, here's the first low underneath the 17. We're nowhere near it, okay? So there's T21.23. Okay, this rally brought to you by all those folks over there at inflation, okay? Really, this rally is brought to you by inflation because all those securities, the inflation that we're getting because we're selling goods and services for higher prices, all right? That brings in more revenue for these companies. And if management's got their act together, a lot of that revenue transitions down to the bottom line, which is released to us in the form of higher earnings or earnings growth. Okay, so then you got more earnings. Okay, you get a better share price, and that's what's going on. Because we get a better share price, if everyone gets a better share price, and you notice, you see T21.23 making new all-time highs. You see the markets making new all-time highs. Okay, just don't want to see layoffs. That's what we don't want to see. We want to see production and everything working out well. All right, that's T21.23. FNGU, what did we get here yesterday on FNGU? Nothing but selling out of the gate, okay? Keep in mind, on the 22nd, the day before yesterday, okay, we made a new all-time high in FNGU, right up there. Okay, so from there, we just sold off from the beginning of the day all the way to the end of the day. We found ourselves underneath the 200 once again. We were here, I think, a couple weeks ago. So here we are again. We find ourselves under the 200. And we're coming back to test the backside to see if we can climb over it just as we did last time. We'll see what happens. Okay, this is the FNGU on the 15-minute chart. Okay, the 15 minutes in a downtrend because you got a low, and we're making lower lows, so it's not in an uptrend on the 15-minute chart. Okay, the daily chart for FNGU is in an uptrend. 15 is not right now because we need to make a higher high, and we have yet to make a higher high yet. So the high to beat would be way up here, up over the 17 EMA. So it's kind of a tall order. Hope we can get it done. Come all the way back up here. All right. Probably going to need some good news in those big cap stocks. All right. So FNGU, we watched this one because it's got 10 of the most heavily weighted stocks in the QQQ and the SPY. So that's why we watch the FNGU. And when these move as a pack, they can jerk those two indexes, and I'm talking about the SPY and the QQQ. Okay, they can jerk those in whatever direction that pack is moving. Okay, it's only got 10 securities in this ETN. That's it. But they're 10 of the most heavily weighted securities in QQQ and SPY. All right, so when they move as a pack, they jerk those indexes with them. Kind of said the same thing twice there in a different way. All right, so there's FNGU. Let's take a look at the economic data. See what we got here. Oh, now it's going to work. Okay. I can't figure this thing out. All right. So anyways, we like it when price moves up and holds the higher ground. Okay. When it goes up, all right, and then gives it up like USO, like that. Work with me. Okay. That's just neutral. All right. But when it goes up like this and holds the higher ground, that's bullish. Okay, so when it goes up, gives it up, that's just neutral. See how this is bullish, and it goes up and it holds the higher ground, and it consolidates over prior consolidation. That's all bullish. All right, that's what we like to see. Go up and hold the higher ground. That's strange. It worked after a while. Okay, so you can see here's price action. Just going up, holding, going up, and kind of holding up here. So we're still bullish, all right? We might be in a 15-minute downtrend. We might have been trapped underneath the 200 SMA, but we've been there before. Notice here and here and here and here, okay? This is not new to us, okay? We're still bullish. So far, we're still bullish. Definitely don't like the looks of yesterday's candle, but we're still bullish so far. Nothing's broken on the bigger time frames. Yes, the 15-minute is in a downtrend. Okay, so that's FNGU. Let's take a look at the economic data. And right here, start off with the US dollar. Okay, so here's the US dollar. It's this red candle, that red candle body. So we closed right around 97.24, 97.25 yesterday. Okay, if we look at price action, I hope they work again. Okay, so if we look at price action, price moves down and over to the right. So we're in a bear flag right now. Okay, we like a weak dollar because it makes our goods and services more affordable to foreign countries. All right, in other words, it doesn't cost them, other countries, other than the USA, because we're the ones selling and they're the ones buying. Other countries don't have to come up with as much capital as they did 9 months ago when the dollar was up here at $1.08. Okay, so they cost them less to purchase our goods and services, so they might pick us as opposed to another nation selling the same goods and services. In other words, it makes us more competitive in the global market space. Okay, that's why we like a weak dollar. Now, the consumer in us, it sucks because that just means everything that you and I buy out of our purse and wallet is going to cost us more because our dollar is weak. All right, so there's U.S. dollar, okay, in a bear flag, all right, and still in a downtrend. All right, so there's dollars. Take a look at Max Pain. Max Pain is 663. That's the puts and calls that expired today in the SPY. And we got a put to call ratio of about 8.8 or 1.9, not 8.8. It's 1.9. I'm going to round it up. All right, about 1.9 puts for each call that expires today. So there's a put squeeze on the table. All right, if they choose to do so. When we had one yesterday, and you can see what happened. They went in favor of the puts. All right, so just because there's one on the table doesn't mean it's going to work. All right, earnings. Okay, who do we got today? We had, well, yesterday we had Micron. I don't know if they reported. Micron reported after the close. Today, who do we got? We got familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. Tomorrow night, we got Costco. Tomorrow night, after the close, $418 billion. And then we got Accenture. That's $149 billion. The rest, just familiar names. All right, nothing that's going to move the markets there. Costco will definitely help out the retail sector, okay? Accenture, not sure what they do, but here's Costco. They're going to report. Big retailer, going to report tomorrow night after the close. Friday, again, more familiar names. Nothing that's going to move the markets. The only one you're really going to watch is probably Cintas and Accenture, and you might want to look at Jabil to see what they do. It's a little bit of tech, I think, right there. Pretty sure it's tech. I'm not positive. On the economic calendar for today. So yesterday, Mr. Powell spoke. I don't know what he said. Didn't seem to move the markets up, that's for sure. We're in the midst of a pullback. And Mr. Trump spoke. So, didn't do us any good, I'll say that. Okay, neither one of them. But then again, they might not have been focused on the markets at all. Okay, well, he should have been. Powell should have been focused on the markets, but maybe Mr. Trump was not. President Trump. Today, what do we got? MBA mortgage applications at 7. New home sales 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Petroleum report 10:30. Okay, that's normal. Almost every Wednesday, 10:30. Treasury buyback, and then that's it. Tomorrow's the big day. Durable good orders 8:30. GDP, gross domestic product 8:30. That's the main event. International trade in goods and service. Well, just in goods, not services. 8:30. Jobless claims 8:30. Corporate profits 8:30. Retail inventories 8:30. Wholesale inventories 8:30. Existing home sales at 10. And a natural gas report at 10:30. Okay, just want to make sure the Fed speakers aren't going to speak again. Okay, and then on Friday we got personal income and outlays at 8:30, and consumer sentiment at 10 o'clock. A rig count at 1. That's normal to have a rig count at 1. Okay, that's it for me. All right, I'll see you guys all in about 40 minutes, unless you got some questions. Jim, pivot is 599.60 on QQQ. I have 659 on the label. Good eye. Me and Robert, we couldn't catch it. Thank you, Jim. Let's go over there and check that out. No, don't want that. Put this back the way it was. Otherwise, it won't be good for us next time. And let's try this, QQQ. And we want the game plan. Yes. 599.60. See, Robert knew something was up. He just couldn't place it. Need more coffee. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, guys and gals. All right, traders. All right. Again, same thing. Okay, we're going to go with the pre-market price action. Try to find that 10-minute uptrend. Continuation from yesterday. Hopefully, we can find a 10-minute uptrend in the market. If not, probably look for price to roll over here at the pivot. All right, so looking for a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend from yesterday. Also, we're going to block off the highs and the lows. Okay, so we'll take this, block off the highs. We're going to take this, block off the lows. Okay, break out of either one of these. All right, we'll trigger a trade, and we're gonna block off the first 15 minutes. All right, a breakout of the first 15-minute range will also trigger a trade. Okay, so just remember, if we break out on the downside and we're down here and you got gap fill right there, be careful, okay? Because there's a highly likelihood, okay, it breaks out, then you enter, and then it bounces off of gap fill and comes back and tests the top side of the opening range. All right, so be careful for that trick. They like to pull that trick quite often. All right, they'll spread out the opening range, hit the gap fill right here. That would be yesterday's close, and then rip all the way back to the top of the opening range. Okay, so be careful. If we trade the opening range, that'd be the first 15 minutes of price action, all right? And then you say trade the breakout, and they break out to the downside, hit this or tag it, spike it, and then rip back to the other side, okay? All right, traders, I'll see you guys in about 40 minutes.